early the rookie Marcus Alexander Bagwell. How was that? I mean, it feels weird from a booking standpoint. You're a new guy yourself, and you're working with Van Hammer, a new guy, Eric Watts, a new guy, Marcus Bagwell, a new guy. That had to be a challenge at times.
It was, you know, the cool part was we all bonded. So, and I would pretty much take the helm on laying stuff out because I really understood. That's the one thing that Jake really taught me, that you could go in a match, even with me really early, even though I didn't execute it the way it should have been. I was starting to learn the language of how to put a match together for the highs and lows. And it really didn't really hit till I got to Mark Merrow. When I got to Mark Merrow, then things, because he worked with me. Again, another guy who was just as green as I was. But that's where it really got. But go back to Marcus. Like, I can remember Marcus, and we talk about it today. Like, I can remember, like, I'm the first guy to ice his body in professional wrestling by, I don't know, 5 years of me doing it before anyone else did it. And that's only because there was a trainer.
Yeah, we used to laugh at it.
Yeah,
Poke fun at it.
Austin, when I just was on his podcast in December, and you know, we talked about like driving down the road, drinking a beer, because that's what you did back then. But I would have ice bags on both knees and on my back in the beginning. Later, it'd be on both my shoulders too. I would have 5 ice bags on me. But in the beginning, it was just both knees and my back. And Austin would put his beer in between my ace bandages that were around the ice bags to keep them cold. And I went, wow, that's a really good idea. And I would say to Buff, I can remember asking him back when he was Marcus, I would go, Marcus, aren't you ever sore? Like, don't you ever like feel beat up? You need to ice your body? Nope, feel great. Feel amazing. Yeah. Of course, I was 36 and he was 22.
Right.
And at 22, you feel like you're indestructible, you know, and you can keep going out and bumping and bumping and bumping and bumping and bumping. Let's just look at one of the greatest bumpers of all time. No, that wasn't you.
Oh,
Kurt Hennig.
Right.
Mr. Perfect, who took bumping to a different level. He was a young man when he came to WCW and we worked together. I want to say maybe, because I was like 40 and I knew I was older than him, I want to say maybe he was 37, 38. And he could still get that good, amazing bump in once in a while, but he couldn't do that shit he did before. I mean, the stuff he could do before, you know, Warrior hit him and he threw himself over the top rope. But if you watch Hennig, and I watch this kind of stuff, when Hennig would go over, his one hand would catch the rope. Mm-hmm. And as he was going down, his other hand would catch the rope. And then the other hand would catch the rope before he hit the ground.
Slowing him down.
Just slowing some of that impact down. But for him to be a guy, when I started to work with him for the belt, I realized like, wow, like this is another guy I idolized in the ring because he was so amazing. But now, and I'm older than him, we're working together and we're on top and I'm being able to work at the same level as him. And there's some parts I think I can even do that better than him. But that was only because he was more beat up than I was. And, you know, that's the thing with Marcus. You could do anything with Marcus because he was a great athlete. He was one of those kids who, you know, quarterback, running back, or whatever the hell he was in football, but star. Everything he did, he was a golden boy.
He was a stud.
He was a stud. And unfortunately for Marcus, he could put a lot of heat on himself, you know.
Heat-seeking missile.
But he was smart enough to befriend Sting, who loved him, and Luger. Like, who better to be, you know, associated with as time would go on that would keep a lot of that real heat off of him. So yeah, I always love Marcus, and he's going through some some tough times right now, and we've been talking, and it's hard because with Jake, when I would help Jake we had a relationship where if I said, listen, Jake, this is how we have to do this, he would respect it and work towards that. Marcus is still his own animal. He still thinks, he's going to do what he wants to do. And I think over the last few months that we've been talking, I think that he's getting more, just let me drive for a little while, bro. You know what I mean? That's all I want to do. Because when Jake let me drive, we had really great success. And Marcus is at the spot today where he really wants to be, because there's not many people who are as gracious with the fans as Buff Bagwell is. I mean, he loves the fans. They love him. I think that, going back to our time together, we bonded really strong. And that was the whole thing of the guys that we came up together. There was one time, my favorite moments with Marcus when he was Buff, 1997. And I don't remember what building we were in, but he brought me out into the bathroom. He said, I got to talk to you. And people were chanting DDP. And I'm not even in the building. I'm in the back. And he said, everybody laughed when you said you were going to be a wrestler and how you're going to be a top guy and you're going to be one of the top guys in the business. And he's like, listen to that, man. He's like, look who's laughing now. So
No better feeling.
Oh God, it's crazy. Knowing that, one of your peers that you came up with, because Marcus and I really, he was a year ahead of me, in the ring, because I was doing the managing thing still. But he was such a naturally gifted athlete. If I said, okay, let's do this, he could do it, especially when he was young.
Well, I think everybody listening to this hopes that he's the next great wrestling success story, and we're pulling for him. But it does make me wonder, as we've sort of laid out your trek through wrestling so far, whether it was a manager or the early year of wrestling here, could you have ever imagined yourself at that time ever being a babyface? You had strictly worked heel, right?
Hell no.
Who called him a babyface?
Friggin' hell no. And I didn't want to be a babyface. It was too much fun
being a heel.
Oh God.